let's get to talking. So Trump went to Kanye West went to Mar-a-Lago, and again, he has like deleted. I was going to show you some of his videos and stuff, but he has deleted them. Um, his talking about his account of it, but the story first broke. A couple different people had reported on it, but Timcast actually got a pretty good scoop on the events that happened and people on the record. So I'm just going to quickly go through their account of it and talk about the sort of backlash that has happened afterwards and since. And people are like, "Is this a nothing burger? Is it a nothing burger?" Maybe you guys are like, "It's a nothing burger." It's causing quite a bit of drama, and it's not just like the mainstream media coming for Trump and or whatever. It's like infighting within Republicans discussing how they don't like how this has occurred. So, this from Timcast. The dinner between Ye and Trump had been previously arranged, but the additional guests were brought on by author and political commentator Milo Yinnappoulos, who has been named by the fashion and entertainment mogul as his campaign director. On Thursday evening, Ye shook up Thanksgiving when he tweeted a video featuring a discussion between himself and Yinnappoulos about the meeting, which, again, he deleted it. I'm sure we can find it somewhere, but I couldn't find it immediately on Twitter. Ye said that he thinks Trump was most perturbed by him asking the former president to be his VP, but the former president was really impressed with Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes, unlike so many of the lawyers and people that he was left with on his 2020 campaign, he's actually a loyalist. I don't know if I uh, believe that. I don't know why they would say that. It just seems like some people are like, it's a psyop. It's a so I don't, unless Kanye is so like involved in like the Twitter and social media landscape, which he posts stuff, but I don't know how he would know who Nick is. But I'm sure that Milo knows who Nick is, and apparently Milo brought him. Nick Fuentes, sometimes the media is like, "Oh, they're white nationalists. Oh, they're white supremacists. Oh, they're racist." Nick is actually a white nationalist. He actually is one. So it's not. So some people get called that all the time. Someone told my dad that he's more dangerous than any white supremacist. So you got people on the left who like to throw that term around. This person actually is one. And there's, I mean, like Holocaust denier, made light of like segregation, all the other kind of stuff. Just not a good dinner guest. And Milo, I find this also interesting that Milo agreed to be Kanye's a political director, and I don't know how that arrangement eventually how came to be in the first place. But Milo got back in the scene some time ago. He made some very controversial comments and basically got ousted. Not by the left, didn't do it. It was like within like some GOP folks like ousted him, and he said some egregious things. But I didn't quite like the way it went down. But he was out for a while, and then he came and said that he like refound religion and was denouncing his gayness or something along those lines, and wasn't going to sleep with his black husband, and started to make waves again. And so not too long ago he started interning for Marjorie Taylor Greene, and so getting his feet wet back into the sphere. So he was on Timcast maybe about a week or two ago, and he was talking about why he thought Trump would beat DeSantis in a primary. And I didn't find, at least the snippets that I watched, because I didn't watch an entire broadcast, but I did watch, I think, the whole segment that they posted with Milo talking about this particular topic. And I didn't find his argument very compelling, but he was mostly referring to Trump's energy. And Trump is very charismatic. He just is, like, unnaturally so. And people who know DeSantis have say that's kind of like a problem, for him. He's just not as charismatic as Trump is. Like, he's not even like up there with like most maybe naturally politicians who go out there and do it. So it's something that he really needs to work on. He has good governance and all that stuff, in his corner. But Trump just has this sort of natural energy. But I still didn't find like his argument very, like I said, compelling. So I thought it was interesting that the next time you hear Milo, he's decided to team up with someone who is going to rival Trump for the presidency. Because Kanye did announce that he plans to run. He's got Yay 24 gear, and he did a very kind of unorthodox sort of campaign announcement video. He's just kind of walking through somewhere, and you see his merch, and it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm running. So another thing that I think is pretty interesting is that Milo is a provocateur, and he's went around, especially 2016. He was huge. I don't know if so much 15, but 2016 he was huge, going around giving talks, etc. Blah blah blah. But Lauren Southern, who was with the Rebel Media many moons ago, she did like a pretty interesting tell-all that was quite long, and it talked about her time, how she kind of blew up working for Rebel Media, um and then as she kind of moved on. But she also talked about meeting Milo and drama that was there and with other people, because she was basically talking about how mistakes that she had made, times when she was a bit naive, um people who had backstabbed her, misunderstandings. But she had quite a bit to say about her experiences with Milo and the people that they 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 knew together. And it doesn't sound like Milo is behind a lot of his own work, but there was a machine that was driving his speeches and his books and other stuff like that. So it's if you ever want to watch Lauren Southern's video, I didn't even end up getting through it because I got tired when I was watching it. But it's long. It's long. It's like Zack Snyder Justice League long. So um it's very interesting, in the least, at the least. So if you have some time to kill, I would definitely watch it, because it's really interesting. Um, because she was talking about all these people who get involved in politics, and you trust them because they're saying things that you like. You guys are sharing the same ideals, but even though someone might share your same ideals, that doesn't mean that they're always doing everything for the right reasons, or they're not just saying those things to propel themselves rather than actually caring about the cause. And I know that. I know there's so many people out there who are just riding a wave to and hitching a star to get to where they want for their own gain. And there's not a lot of people out there, or there's not enough people out there who are just doing things for the because they really believe in the cause. So and then there's people who believe in the cause, but then someone who disagrees with them will be like, well, you're not really a Republican or conservative because you don't back blah blah blah. It's just really ridiculous. Ye continued, when all the lawyers said, forget it, Trump's done. Oh, I think I missed a line. When he didn't know where the lawyers is, you still have your loyalists, Ye said, seemingly ad-libbing a line that would have fit perfectly into one of his hit songs. Ye continued, when all the lawyers said, forget it, Trump's done, the loyalists were running up on the White House. The rap icon explained that he questioned the former president about not pardoning people who were arrested for protesting on his behalf on January 6th, and suggested that he bring back the people who worked on his 2016 campaign but have since been canceled. Ye said that Trump admitted to change the subject to his pardoning of Alice Johnson, a grandmother who he had been serving life without a possibility of parole for nonviolent drug offenses. The woman's freedom had become a passion project for Kim Kardashian. Trump, according to Ye, said that pardoned her for him, not Kardashian. Things at dinner began to unravel when Trump insulted Kardashian, the mother of Ye's children. When Trump started basically screaming at me at the table, telling me I'm going to lose. I mean, has that ever worked for anyone in history? I'm like, hold on, you're talking to Ye, the candidate said at the end of the video. So, yeah, in the video that Kanye has deleted talking about the dinner event, I guess Trump said several disrespectful things about Kim. Um, and the dinner stuff didn't end well, which he probably obviously triggered him at first when he asked him to be his VP. And Kanye is not going to win, but I think it's interesting that he put him on blast about not pardoning the January people who protested for the January 6th. Now there's people in there who were violent and other stuff like that. Some people are just like political prisoners though. So hearing some stories about how some people were treated off of like super like offenses that were seemed kind of minor, or just how the FBI for example came to Ryan Kelly's house in front of his kids, that was a lot. Um and really seemed more like an intimidation tactic. Um so Trump changing the subject, I can see that happening. If there's a strategy here, I don't know, he could just be talking out of his butt. But if the strategy is to kind of peel some of those populist people away from Trump, that's interesting. But this whole sort of um, meeting, at least from Kanye's perspective, seems like an opportunity to come here and mark his territory and piss all over the king, basically. To me, I'm like the audacity of going to Mar-a-Lago where the former president is and to bring guests unannounced is pretty amazing to me. I'm like, who does that? Who does that? Trump said had some comments. He tweeted at least two different things about it. Um, I think here's the first one. The past week, Kanye called me to have dinner at Mar-a-Lago. Shortly thereafter, he unexpectedly showed up with three of his friends, whom I knew nothing about. We had dinner on Tuesday evening with many members present in the back patio. The dinner was quick and uneventful. They left for the airport. So that was what Trump said about it. And then he said something about it again. So I help a series, and by the this was after like there was some buzz about it and like major headlines talking about it, people on the right talking about it, and you're starting to get people who were pro Trump before and just kind of tired of hearing stories like this. So this is when Trump made a comment. So I help a seriously troubled man who just happens to be black. I've read this tweet before, but it's not a tweet, it's from Truth Social, but I it's just funny the phrasing of that, pointing that out. I'm sorry. Yay, Kanye West, who has like, why would we all know Kanye West is black? He just wanted that to be a point, like a exclamation point. Um, Kanye West, who has been decimated in his business and virtually everything else, and who has always been good to me by allowing his request for a meeting at Mar-a-Lago alone so that I can give him very much needed advice. He shows up with three people, two of which I didn't know, the other a political person I haven't seen in years. I told him, don't run for office, a total waste of time, can't win. Fake news went crazy. Um, I mean, I don't know. Well, the fake news is the fake news, but this, I mean, event did happen and it was interesting. So I was talking to my sister who used to work for the RNC, and I was telling her about it because I don't know, she was kind of off the ball and didn't know about this, and so she just found the story unfathomable because she's just like working for the RNC when there was some kind of event with Ronna McDaniel, um, like people were are checking and doing all this stuff to make sure the folks there, like there wasn't going to cause a scene. Like there was an event that they wanted like a black gospel choir there, and and we had well, not me, but they had my uncle and my aunt get the choir together to sing, and then they were just kind of like, I don't know, because these folks, it seems like they're Democrats, or they are Democrats, and some of them had voted for Trump and stuff, but they had, like, you want a gospel choir, like you'd have like low options. So eventually, just because they knew us, and they're like, well, their family's not going to do anything great, so yeah, it ended up being okay. But there's just such a process, and it's just unfathomable that people can show up to Mar-a-Lago where the president of the United States is, where they were just keeping like classified records and stuff, and just show up unannounced with these guests. One of them being Milo, which is also interesting because Milo said on Timcast that if people in the White House, if they were interns for the White House, and they found out they were a fan of Milo, and I think he listed some other people, they like promptly like kicked them out. So there are people who've been around Trump who's tried to shelter him from some more obscure figures like or provocative figures like Milo, um, and then just dealing with events like rallies and going to the White House, etc. Like there's just so much screening that they do. So I've sung at a Pence rally. It was a Trump rally, but Pence was his main speaker. And then I've sung at a Trump rally. Well, I've sung at two that where Trump was at, and I've been to a lot, and I've been VIP'd a lot, and they do check you and they do backgrounds and stuff. But one time I had the first time I sang where Trump was there, I asked could I get a picture, and they're like, well, we have to do like a background check, and they clearly did like a check for before I sang, and they let me backstage, but whatever. So I didn't get a picture then, and then the last time I did it, so both these times I sang, he was not the president. So this is before and this is after, and they're like, he doesn't have time, you're not on the list, and and I don't know why I wasn't on that list. I don't know why whoever got on whatever list, but I just know how there are all these barriers to even get to the point where you can just take a photo. Some people are like, oh, Trump's just like an easygoing guy, you can just show up and what, or like, I don't know, saying like there's such ease of access, like that's a good thing, and I'm just like, that's just not from my experience. It being like that. So this story is so weird to me. It's so weird how all this happened, but I do think his staff failed in that regard. And I don't think that is, I guess, technically his sole fault, but I guess they are his staff though. So there's people saying like Mike Cernovich and other folks like that, like, hey, stuff like this can't keep happening. And it's reminiscent, like it's reminding me back in like 2016 when there was like sort of chaos as he was building as the Trump as a candidate. I don't know. It might be a rematch between him and Biden. And I just don't want stuff like this to happen. And I know people are like, oh, it's a nothing burger, it's not a big deal. I just don't want things like this to happen again. Again, it's a weird, really weird story to me. And there are people saying it's like a psyop that that he got set up. Some people are using this moment to condemn everyone who hasn't condemned the visit. And so there are people trying to super blow it out of proportion, but look, I gotta tell you, it's weird. It's a weird story. And one thing that is funny about the media bringing it up and trying to condemn everyone who doesn't take the time to condemn Trump and Kanye, etc. Is just someone pointed out this. um, said who would have invited avowed white nationalists. So the media at one point was very, very fascinated with Richard Spencer, and CNN actually had him on. And I don't know, the only reason why people know about Richard Spencer is because I think the media elevated him so much, and there's still a ton of people who don't know who Richard Spencer is, but I thought that was a good tweet. That was a good tweet. Um, so yeah, and there's people talking about, oh, why didn't DeSantis comment? And they're like, why didn't he take your bait that you're clearly trying to set up? I don't think everyone should have to go on, you know, offense and stuff when I mean defense when they clearly are trying to set them up to make it a big huge thing to condemn everyone who wasn't there, who had nothing to do with it. I don't think everyone should have to take that bait. You know, keep attacking them. Don't always be on the defensive and stuff like they want you to be. There's even conspiracy theories that, and Candace Owens debunked this or refuted it anyway, but that Candace Owens set them up or put it together or introduced Kanye to Milo and Nick and wanted them there because she's secretly on Team DeSantis now. And I'm like, is that a thing? Like, I don't follow her content religiously like that, but I'm not aware of her. I don't think she seems to be as passionately for Trump as she used to be, but I don't foresee that. But So she said that's not true, and she's seen a ton of conspiracy theories, and that's not so. So I don't know where all there's psyops, but there's all these conspiracies out there. But last thing I want to say is Kanye decided to come for Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire because Ben Shapiro tweeted like, "You don't want to have dinner with white nationalists? Don't invite them." And so he didn't name Kanye, but he was clearly talking about Kanye. And so Kanye West tweeted, and he deleted this tweet. I was like, well, what's with the Daily Wire? Promoting my competition, talking about Ron DeSantis, and he said you guys took $100,000 of his, and so everyone on Daily Wire, Mitch Shapiro was just like, dude, they're paying for ads. We take way more money than that from people, and in the GOP. DeSantis, Trump, they rent lists too. And they're like, you want to run for political office and you're not aware of like ads and renting lists so you can reach those people who you want to vote for, who are consuming all this conservative content. So he did delete that. I think maybe it was early this morning. I would bet that Kanye probably didn't know who Nick Fuentes was. But can't tell me Milo didn't know. So I'm curious what is Milo's end game here for why he did what. Because not all good news, not all news is good news or all press is good press. And he thrived on that and made that raise his star. And some of it took him down. And he's back up again or trying to make the climb. But you have Kanye, who's already been in hot water for comments, anti-Semitic comments, and people who have started to drop him. He's not in a good place. And so to me, it just kind of looks like Kanye is being taken advantage of by a provocateur. And Milo was fun. I followed his content in 2016. There's plenty of people who still adore him, but this was not a good move. As someone who is his campaign manager, it's not a good move. And I don't see any wisdom here, other than the controversy was good for Milo. So why not do it? Because it certainly wasn't good for Kanye. It certainly wasn't good for Kanye. And I don't want to absolve Kanye from responsibility, but it does seem like he was. If I had to guess how it went down or what's going on, I'm going to point fingers at Milo. And I would say the best thing he can do now is separate that relationship and take a beat for a while. Just take a beat. Get take some time. Think some things out. Reorganize your mind. But I don't think that's very Kanye. So we'll probably continue to see him unravel and rise and unravel and rise in the public sphere.